There's a short content page. I hope the presentation has been distributed. I won't go through the content page, but it gives you a sense of what we will talk about. I think first and foremostly, we need to start with the commitment of the company, because we've had to reset. And we've reset to a point as to what it is that we are committed to, which is the basis from which this team is working from. And I think the first thing to say is that we are deeply aware of the impact that this has had on investments, on pension funds, on the reputation of the company, on the Steinhoff brand, on business in South Africa generally, and on our nation. Our commitment is that we will uncover the truth as this team. We will fix what went wrong. We will prosecute wrongdoing, and we will communicate fully on an ongoing basis. I think there has been some frustration about our communication in the past. We are constrained. Much of our information that we could share is price sensitive. We also have concerns about a forensic investigation. We don't want to compromise the matters surrounding the cases that we may need to follow, and we don't want to compromise our processes. Our view is that as these matters evolve, we will be in a position to communicate more freely, and we intend to do so. We have cooperated fully with all our regulators globally. We are working constantly as part of our commitment to maintain and improve liquidity of the group. As you can imagine, the events as they were announced and the share price decline, we faced a liquidity crisis, and we had to move very quickly to ensure that we can, that the businesses can continue to trade. We also look not only at our immediate crisis, but how we might be able to return, to maintain and restore some value to shareholders. We also need to look after the 130,000 employees globally, and the retention of their jobs have been paramount and will remain paramount to the work that we do going forward. I think just to reiterate and explain a little bit more about our communication, and it is just given the gravity of the situation that Steinhoff has been in since the events of December 4, 2017, and subsequently, we are deeply constrained in what we can say, legally and otherwise. We are working on account restatements and a forensic investigation, and this work is ongoing. We say these things on the advice of the company's lawyers. I must say that we come to this gathering open, and if we could communicate everything today, we would communicate. We understand the seriousness of the situation, and we also understand the intense public interest, broad interest in what is going on here. We completely understand that, but we do remain constrained, and therefore our commitment is to disclose on an ongoing basis, and even to come back to Parliament as the events evolve and we don't find ourselves in such a compromised position in what we might declare publicly. It does not mean we are unwilling to communicate. We have to advance the work far enough to be able to communicate publicly without harming or constraining potential prosecutions and other actions that may arise. We would have preferred, it is in my nature, it is in our nature to answer questions fully. But I hope you understand that the time for this will arrive, and we would be happy to come back and tell you more about that as it evolves. Another point we need to make is that we are here as representatives of the company of Steinhoff. We are not here in our personal capacities here today. We will, as far as we've made the presentation available, I trust everyone has a copy, and we've also put a bundle of the 33 statements that the company has made publicly since December 4, and that is available for your review. The chronology of events, as Chairperson Karim referred to earlier, what has happened as far as we know. The CEO resigned on the 5th of December, and there were postponement of our financial statements, and this triggered a significant decline in our share price and a liquidity crisis in the company. Our credit lines dried up, our suppliers struggled with credit insurance, and also we ran the risk of getting into credit defaults. This was the situation into which we stepped, and we needed to create some stability in the company. The announcement of the 5th of December, the company confirmed that PwC was appointed to conduct an independent forensic investigation to uncover the facts independently of what went wrong. We appointed international financial and liquidity advisors, Moelis and Alex Partners, on the 10th of December to assist globally with our companies to be able to create the stability around the liquidity challenges that we were facing. We also appointed Linklaters and Worksmans as legal advisors, and I think it's also important to note Africa Retail Limited was able to produce and issue annual audited financial statements on December. The board was established as a response to these tactical exchanges that needed to happen on a daily basis, and I was appointed as the acting chair of the company on the 15th of December. We then had to go to work to strengthen the management board, and I alluded earlier to this binary governance structure. And the management board was then comprised of Dani van der Merwe, who took on the role of acting CEO, Alexander Nodal, who is the CEO of the businesses in France, Conforama, and he became the deputy CEO, and he brought the very critical European experience to that management board. Louis Dupré was appointed as the commercial director onto the management board. Further appointments were made on the 4th of January. Philip Dipperink, who was CFO of Steinhoff UK, who maintains that position, but now takes on the responsibility of CFO of the group. And further, Johan Geldenhuys was appointed as the head of Treasury. Some of the actions that we've taken to date. I think it's important to note that in the initial instance, PwC was given an unrestricted scope. So the mandate to PwC was to cast the net wide, to leave no stone unturned, to make everyone the subject of a look-in. Everyone could be under their scrutiny, and then to define what their scope would be. There was no limitation on the PwC initial mandate. We are happy to report progress, and in the next few days, we hope very soon, our hope is this week, they will be able to give us a view on what the focus of their investigation will be. We are working with Deloitte to finalize the 2017 consolidated financial statements and the restated 2015 and 2016 statements. We understand that this is incredibly important for the public and also for trading in our share. Steinhoff has cooperated fully with the regulators in all relevant jurisdictions, and we will continue to do so. Our leadership has been reorganized. We will continue to strengthen the leadership team and are in the process of appointing a chief restructuring officer. You will understand that the management board was running a very particular business before the events of December 4, and then went into an entirely different environment in the days after that. And we have to create more bandwidth for management to be able to focus on businesses trading and continuing so that we maintain that value in the company, but also have a chief restructuring officer that can help us with matters that pertain directly to restructuring and dealing with our financial creditors. It is also important to note that all subsidiaries are trading. 12,000 outlets worldwide open every day, including over the key December trading period. We are also continuing on the supervisory board to strengthen its independence. We have had some departures, and we are also in the process of interviewing candidates. We are looking for international, retail, business, and government expertise, and we hope to make those announcements shortly. We are entering the next phase of broader lender engagement and are now in a position to develop some strategic options for the company. The initial step was to try and create stability, some space, and then to start considering what our strategic options are as we move forward in a considered and controlled way. We will continue to manage the liquidity of the group and its underlying entities by making use of various liquidity measures. Further to our actions to date, we are in a position to announce that last night, the chairman of the Audit Committee reported transgressions to the authorities in terms of the Prevention of Combating of Corrupt Practices Act 2004, referred to as PRECA. Based on our investigations to date, we have reported the former CEO, Marcus Jooste, to the Hawks in terms of Section 34(1)(b) of PRECA, on suspicion that he has committed offences thereunder. The matter is now in the hands of the Hawks for further investigation and prosecution. The question that we considered was what went wrong and could it have been prevented? In December 2017, our auditors Deloitte advised us that they were not in a position to sign off the 2017 consolidated financial statements. We announced on December 7th that we are investigating the validity and recoverability of non-South African assets totaling some 6 billion euros. We don't know at this stage if the crisis could have been prevented. The PwC forensic investigation is ongoing, and only once it has been finalized will we be able to publicly disclose material findings, determine what went wrong, and take steps against those responsible. The scope of the PwC forensic investigation, as mentioned before, is unlimited and includes all supervisory, management, and management board members, including the audit and risk committee members. We will share the key findings with regulators and with Parliament so that the lessons learned from these events and processes can be applied. The effect on the share price decline on the public and private sectors in 1 week between December 4 and December 11th, the Steinhoff share price declined by nearly 85%. The sharp decline in the Steinhoff share price affected all shareholders in both public and private sectors. A third of our shareholders are outside of South Africa, as mentioned before, 68% are South African. As Steinhoff was one of the top shares on the JSE, it featured in tracking indices, and that are followed by investment funds, including the PIC and the GEPF. We are working to stabilize the group and restore trust. It's not a word we take lightly, and we believe that creating greater independence, to explain as far as possible what we are doing, to say what we are going to do and to follow through on that, to leave no stone unturned, and to take the necessary actions, may be one step or some of the steps in that direction. Securing the future of the Steinhoff businesses is the process by which we intend to protect and restore value to shareholders. I'll now hand over to Louis du Preez, who will give some comments as well.
Thank you, Heather. Just morning all. Just to give you some indication of who I am and where do I fit into the picture. I joined the group on the 1st of June last year as the group legal counsel.